Meet Attila the Mockingbird. He doesn't long to conquer entire continents, but he is very Attila-ish about protecting his food supply. Now, this particular Attila lives a block and a half from our house, but if the weather gets seriously cold, he visits. He is not a polite house guest, though. He's as possessive as if he had put out all that bird food himself. Now, the tufted titmouse and chickadee will, of course, flee from him. He's literally twice their size. But that doesn't mean they shun the feeders he dominates. It just means that they keep an eye cocked so they can sprint for the exits before he gets there. Because they know when he's coming. The white in his wings flashes, creating a whirligig effect that they could hardly not see. The mocker called dibs on two of our feeders. This cylinder feeder has fruit, his favorite winter food, plus dried mealworms and seeds. He doesn't care about the seeds, but the mealworms are another matter. In warm weather, he's an insectivore. The tray feeder also has dried mealworms, plus suet and unshelled peanuts. It was a 5-star Michelin menu to his way of thinking, so the tyrant laid down the law to everybody else. No surprise that cardinals and Carolina wrens felt they'd better be elsewhere. But when the mocker came after poachers like it had been flung out of a slingshot, birds its own size would flee, because it has a rep as the toughest kid on the playground. I mean, mockingbirds have been known to dive-bomb cats to grab fur for lining their nests. 10 years ago, when we had more starlings in our yard than we do now, the mockingbird of that day didn't hesitate to barrel into a whole swarm of them and double back for a second pass. So blue jays and starlings know that the mocker is fearless, and it wasn't usually the larger birds that challenged our current Attila. Now, that distinction fell, as I said, to titmice and chickadees, but also to the male cardinals and Carolina wrens. Desperate for food to stoke their tiny furnaces in single-digit weather, they persisted because they knew they could dodge that bill that could leave a welt. I mean, the smaller the bird, the more agile in the air. Now, I'm not suggesting that the mocker is clumsy. On the contrary, he's practically a fighter pilot ace. All I'm saying is that even if he doesn't have any trouble on the turns, a wren will always have a welt-evading edge. Only ones that could get away with just flat-out rummaging around in the mocker's stash were the squirrels. Even the mockingbird doesn't quarrel with a freight train. He actually does understand that sometimes discretion is the better part of valor.